Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin is bouncing from critical support, potentially forming a bottom for this short-term bearish trend, as this chart right here is still pointing towards more bullish price action that could be coming soon, despite Mt. Gox potentially causing a multi-billion-dollar sell-off, which I'll talk about in just a moment, alongside Ethereum, which is now flashing a rare signal that has not happened in nearly 300 days. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, just before taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today, we need to talk about the Bitcoin news today, because over the last 24 hours, we saw some major movements in the Mt. Gox trustee due to repayments coming very soon. And in case you have no idea what any of this means, basically Mt. Gox was a crypto exchange that collapsed over a decade ago, and since then they've been holding on to a lot of customers' Bitcoin. The customers of the exchange, the trustee of Mt. Gox, has been holding onto that Bitcoin, and right now they are potentially beginning to repay that Bitcoin to customers. And this is coming from the former CEO of Mt. Gox himself. As we can see here, customers are now finally starting to receive the Bitcoins from the Mt. Gox trustee. And we can back this up with on-chain analytics. We can see on the Bitcoin blockchain that yes, indeed, the Mt. Gox trustee is now moving a lot of Bitcoin in preparation for repayments. And if you're wondering how much Bitcoin we're talking about, we are talking about over 141,000 Bitcoin worth nearly $8 billion US. And just in the last one day, we saw the Mt. Gox trustee in a single Bitcoin transaction move nearly $3 billion, around $2.7 billion worth of Bitcoin, or around 47,000 Bitcoin in a single transaction, preparing for repayments. And so essentially, this spooked the market at the time. As soon as this happened, within the last one day, we saw a further dump in the price of Bitcoin, because of course, there is a chance that a decent amount of this Bitcoin could be sold by those customers that have been waiting for a decade to finally receive this Bitcoin. And now, of course, there's no way to know for sure exactly how much of these Bitcoin customers that are receiving this Bitcoin will actually sell. Some may continue to hold it, some may continue to sell, but it is likely that at least some of it could be sold on the market. And so when we're talking about billions of dollars of Bitcoin that are getting paid out, of course, that can have the potential to significantly impact the price of Bitcoin. And for any of the beginners out there that think that a $7 billion sell-off will just simply reduce the Bitcoin market cap by $7 billion, that's not exactly how it works, because the market price is based on liquidity, the amount of buyers and sellers at any given price. And so, for example, if $7 billion worth of Bitcoin is sold on the market, that's not going to reduce the Bitcoin market cap by just $7 billion. A $7 billion sell order or $7 billion buy order could easily change the market cap of Bitcoin by $50 to $100 billion or more, because it is the price times the circulating supply that determines the market cap, not the other way around. And so this is why it is a big deal when it comes to these massive transactions that happen on chain, especially when they are linked to entities like the Mt. Gox trustee that we are knowing now is starting to pay out Bitcoin to customers. And so, of course, it was just a couple of days ago, we saw the German government dump a lot of Bitcoin on the market. And then just in the last 24 hours, we saw this from the Mt. Gox trustee. And even if none of this Bitcoin from the Mt. Gox trustee ends up actually being sold by the customers, just the fact that a lot of Bitcoin is moving on chain right now, that is spooking a lot of people in crypto, and a lot of people are potentially selling in preparation for these payouts. Because, of course, there will be people out there that will speculate that some of this Bitcoin might be sold on the market, which could reduce the price. So before this actually happens, people are perhaps selling Bitcoin earlier on to try and buy back lower. And so basically what is happening here is the market is just trying to price this in before it is happening and as it is happening, so that when it does continue to happen, we may not even end up seeing a significant impact on the price of Bitcoin, because a lot of that impact has been moved to now, with the market selling off right now and potentially buying back in later on, adding buying pressure later on. And so just in the last 48 hours, we have seen two major entities cause a significant amount of sell pressure for the price of Bitcoin, of course being the German government around a couple of days ago, and now Mt. Gox starting the repayments, also causing a significant sell-off just in the short term. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin charts today and on this 4-day time frame right here, not a lot has really changed on this chart over the last 1 day. So if you're new to the channel, then check out my last video here on the channel. And if we're staying on the 4-day Bitcoin chart, but taking a look at this super trend indicator, what we have seen just over the last 1 day is a candle wick to the downside below 56,000. But at least as of right now, we have not actually seen any 4-day candle close or weekly candle close, for example, confirming below 56,000. And remember, as I've said recently here on the channel, we need to see confirmation actually confirming the candle close below 56k on this time frame right here in order to confirm a bearish reversal signal in the super trend indicator on this Bitcoin chart. And the last time we saw that happen was the beginning of the 2022 bear market, which was obviously a significant bearish time in the price of Bitcoin for the following 1 year approximately. And so this indicator right here is really great at determining the larger trends, the much larger trends for the price of Bitcoin on the larger timeframes, not just the short-term bullish and bearish trends. But once again, until we see a confirmed break below 56,000 on this chart right here, technically speaking, the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, pointing towards a larger bullish trend, also known as a bull market. And remember, a larger bullish trend or bull market can contain short-term pullbacks and short-term bearish trends during the larger bullish trend, which is why we need to wait for confirmation to actually confirm a larger trend reversal. Because if you sold the moment we just saw a slight dip below 56,000, of course, if you use that same logic back here, for example, you would have sold Bitcoin at around 25,000 just before a very significant move to the upside in the following months in the price of Bitcoin, because we never actually confirmed a candle close below the point of invalidation back then in the super trend indicator. But I talked more about this chart right here and this indicator in my last video here on the channel. So if you're new to the channel and you want to know more about this chart, then check out my last video here on the channel. And something similar can be said about this 3-day Bitcoin chart, because over the last 1 day, not much has really changed on this chart right here. So as of right now, I'm still just slowly dollar cost averaging into Bitcoin, slowly accumulating Bitcoin as the short-term dump continues. And I'm allowing the short-term dump to continue by using that strategy, because essentially if we see more bearish price action in the short term, I'm still able to dollar cost average into Bitcoin. I'm not going all in at once, and I'm not using any high leverage, for example, so I won't get liquidated if the price continues more bearish price action. But if we eventually see some sort of bounce back to the upside, whether it's right here or from a lower price, I can still benefit from that bounce as I dollar cost average into Bitcoin, because as I continue to dollar cost average, that also lowers my average entry price. And with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and what is very interesting right now is if we're taking a look at the DXY, this is actually playing out a decent sized pullback, which if it weren't for Mt. Gox dumping potentially a massive amount of Bitcoin, well, the customers potentially dumping some Bitcoin, and also the German government just a couple of days ago dumping a massive amount of Bitcoin on the market, if it weren't for those major events happening right now, we could potentially actually see some more bullish price action once a lot of those bearish events are over with. And so as I explained in my last video, this is why I talk about multiple factors and indicators and patterns and news and things that are going on, because obviously different things can affect the price of Bitcoin, not just one signal or indicator. But historically speaking, the DXY has actually been historically very accurate at determining the trend in the price of Bitcoin, at least on the daily time frame. So these shorter term bullish and bearish trends, not necessarily the bull or bear market. And so as you can simply see on this chart right here, roughly around 95% of the time, this indicator is extremely accurate at determining what the trend could be in the price of Bitcoin, at least in terms of the shorter term trend and momentum. But it's just the other 5% of the time where these can potentially move in the same direction. Once again, this is a relatively rare circumstance that we're seeing right now that's also potentially caused by other factors that I've been talking about just over the last couple of days. But once we see these other bearish factors like the German government selling and the Mt. Gox repayments go away, once these other factors go away, which once again will happen eventually with the markets pricing in the Mt. Gox repayments, and the German government at some point will run out of Bitcoin or just stop selling Bitcoin. And so at some point when we eventually see these other bearish factors go away, we're simply left with the remaining factors that can influence the price of Bitcoin, like for example, the reversal that we're seeing at the moment in the DXY, which could cause potentially some more bullish price action if we stop seeing some of those other bearish factors that are also influencing the price of Bitcoin. And so once again, this chart right here, the DXY is flashing a major bullish signal for Bitcoin. So I'll not be surprised if we actually see more bullish price action potentially in the coming days or weeks if we stop seeing a lot of the selling from those other large players. But with that being said, taking a look at this daily Bitcoin chart, and what's very interesting is over the last one day, we saw a move below this area of support sitting in between around 56,500 to 57,500. And based on the VPVR indicator, also known as the volume profile indicator, we actually saw a move exactly down to this massive cluster of volume right here, which is actually sitting at around 51 to 52,000, but we have a major area of support that's really starting at around 53,000, going down towards around 51,000. So once again, in between 51k to 53k, we have a significant area of support, mostly based on previous price action and the volume profile indicator. And we ended up seeing the price of Bitcoin bounce just above 53,000, so right around that major area of support. And as of right now, at the time of recording this video, the price of Bitcoin is still trading right around this previous area of support, which if the daily candle close still confirms above around 56,000, technically speaking, we could potentially still hold this area as support based on the daily candle closes. And also, as of right now, we're potentially forming a bullish divergence on this daily time frame with lower lows already confirmed in the price action in the daily candle closes and higher lows still currently forming in the daily Bitcoin RSI. So at least for now, the higher lows have not been confirmed. They are still forming in the RSI. And in order to actually confirm that higher low in place in the RSI to confirm the bullish divergence, we need to see at least 1 to 2 green candle closes confirming here in the price of Bitcoin to confirm the higher low in place and once again confirm the bullish divergence. And if we see this bullish divergence confirm in the coming days, then we're likely going to see at least some sort of sideways consolidation or possibly a slight bullish relief. So basically a break or relief from the short-term bearish trend, but not necessarily a full-on reversal from the bearish trend. But once again, at least for now, the bullish divergence is not even confirmed. And also, in order to confirm a bullish reversal in the price of Bitcoin, we also ideally need to see a breakout above key resistance areas. Like, for example, in between 60 to 61,000, we should have major resistance. And in between around 63 to 64,000, in between 67 to 68,000, and at around 72 to 74,000, those are all major areas of resistance on the Bitcoin chart. But personally, I would start flipping much more bullish again in terms of the short-term trend and momentum for the price of Bitcoin if we at least see a confirmed breakout back above 61,000, but ideally back above 64,000 to be more confident that things are finally starting to flip more bullish again for the price of Bitcoin, at least in terms of the short-term trend and momentum, and ideally still seeing that pullback also playing out here in the DXY. And with that being said, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of Bitcoin or any other crypto, personally, I take basically all of my trades over on Bybit. So I'll make sure to leave a link to Bybit down below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link down below this video to make a Bybit account and deposit on that account, then you can get up to a $30,000 deposit bonus, but only if you use that link down below this video. And also, if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here, which is a massive lucky draw happening right now for a limited time, by the way. So just by using that link down below this video to trade crypto on Bybit, you get these chances into this lucky draw where you could potentially win some free Bitcoin or Ethereum or USDT or potentially up to $100,000 just by trading crypto using the link down below this video. And so if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, you might as well check this out. Once again, first link down below this video. But for whatever reason, if you cannot access Bybit or if you cannot KYC on Bybit, there is also Bitflex, which is another crypto exchange similar to Bybit, but you don't need KYC for Bitflex. And so I'll also make sure to leave a link to Bitflex down below this video as an alternative crypto exchange. And as of right now, when it comes to the short-term trend and momentum for the price of Bitcoin, even though we're seeing a decent bounce from this area of support, technically speaking, we're still within a short-term bearish trend because we have not actually confirmed a bullish trend reversal for the price of Bitcoin. But with that being said, during a short-term bearish trend, we can see even shorter-term bullish price action, or at least just some sideways price action during a short-term bearish trend. And that's actually what I expect at least for the next half a week or so, possibly over the next 1 week. because we've now seen a major low take place in the price of Bitcoin right around significant supports based on previous price action and the volume profile indicator once again. And we've seen a significant bounce from that area, at least as of right now. We have a large candle wick to the downside, which usually happens right around at least local lows in the price. And we could also likely confirm this bullish divergence in the next few days. For as long as the price simply just holds anywhere around this area right here, we will likely confirm this bullish divergence in the next few days. And either way, even if we don't confirm that bullish divergence and we continue to see a lower low in the RSI, ultimately that would mean the RSI on the daily time frame is oversold. And the last time this happened, we saw a bit of a sideways consolidation and a slight bullish relief over the next 1 week during the bearish trend. And also keep in mind that we're now about to head into a weekend, and usually over a weekend, we see relatively low volatility, very flat price action just over a weekend as a most likely scenario. Once again, not 100% of the time. I never talk about 100% of the time. There's no such thing as a guarantee, but as the most likely scenario, this is usually what happens over a weekend. Very boring price action. And usually the majority of the volatile moves in the price of Bitcoin happen during the week on the weekdays, and this was definitely shown in this week. And so essentially, I would not be surprised if in the next couple of days, just over the weekend, we kind of see the price start chilling out a little bit, potentially playing out a bit of choppy sideways price action, but I don't necessarily expect a volatile move like this over the weekend. And with that being said, taking a quick look at the Bitcoin liquidation heat map, and as of right now, we actually have a lot of liquidity to the upside compared to the downside, considering over the last week, we've already taken out a lot of liquidity to the downside. And so as of right now, the significant areas of liquidity here in the Bitcoin liquidation heat map are starting at around 58.9K, going up towards around 59.6K. And we have another significant area of resistance in between around 60.7K, going up towards around 61.3K. So those are the areas to pay attention to here on the Bitcoin liquidation heat map. And with that being said, taking a look at Ethereum on the daily time frame, because right now the price of ETH is bouncing from this critical area of support based on significant previous support in the price, sitting in between around 2.8K to 2.9K. And so as of right now, that is the main area of support to pay attention to. And if we break below 2.8K, we could potentially go to much lower prices. But for now, that is the area of support to pay attention to. And also, if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum RSI, this is now entering into oversold territories for the first time in a long time. In fact, if we're zooming out on the daily time frame, looking at the daily Ethereum RSI, we can see the last time we saw an oversold signal on this time frame right here for Ethereum was roughly around 300 days ago, back in September last year. And if we're looking at the last few times where we saw an oversold signal on the daily time frame, right around these occurrences where we saw this signal flash right here, we saw a local low at the very least form in the price of ETH, and we were due to see at least some sort of short-term bounce or sideways consolidation before we could potentially continue the bearish trend later on. But usually when we have an oversold signal, especially on the daily time frame, this usually means we're about to see at least some sort of break or relief from the bearish trend before potentially continuing the trend later on, because this signal by itself is not really enough to full-on confirm a bullish reversal. But just for the next few days, possibly over the next week, I do expect either a sideways consolidation, just some choppy sideways price action, or possibly a slight bullish relief, just a bit more of a bounce, perhaps from this area of support. And as for resistance right now, we need to pay attention to the Fibonacci retracement tool on this 12-hour time frame from swing high to swing low. That gives us the Fibonacci resistance levels based on the logarithmic settings. First of all, we have the 23.6% Fibonacci level of resistance sitting at around 30.50, so just above $3,000. We do have our first level of resistance. Above that, we have more resistance at around 3.2K, around 33.40, and the golden pocket area of resistance in between around 34.70 to 35.20, acting as significant resistance. And so if we do end up seeing a slight bullish relief or a bit of a bounce back to the upside, expect the price to struggle around those areas on the chart. And with that being said, taking a quick look at the price of Solana on the 12-hour time frame, and obviously over the last couple of days, we saw that break below this area of previous support, which should now act as new resistance in between around 140 to 144. And I actually warned here on the channel before we saw the break to the downside. I said if we see the break below 140, then expect a move potentially back down to this area of support in between 120 to 128. And as I've said recently here on the channel, we have significant support in that area, so expect a bounce from this area right here. And what have we seen since then? Well, we've seen pretty much exactly that. We've seen the move below 140. So the moment we saw a break below 140, we moved into this area of support as expected in between 120 to 128, and we're now bouncing from that exact area of support as expected. And as for support and resistance right now, once again, we should now expect new resistance in between 140 to 144, and we have more resistance closer towards around 153 to 154 and 160 acting as major resistance. And as for support, once again, we still have a lot of buyers in this price range in between 120 to 128, as I've been saying basically every day since all the way back here. And moving forward, what I'm expecting right now for the price of Solana is honestly a lot of choppy sideways price action. So potentially a further bounce in the imminent short term, followed by a bit of a retracement and more of that type of price action, potentially just for the weekend. But ultimately, the overall trend and momentum for the price of Solana, along with a lot of the crypto market, usually follows what Bitcoin is doing. So ultimately, my analysis for Bitcoin kind of stands for the rest of the crypto market in general. Not every single altcoin, but in general, a lot of the crypto market moves with Bitcoin. And once again, if you want to trade any of these moves in the price of any crypto, check out those links down below this video to claim those extra bonuses. And if you want to actually know how to trade crypto, no matter if the price is bullish, bearish, or chopping around sideways, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions. And the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit from choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.